40K restock day.
Yeah, it is. What are you looking for?
ORK kits, obviously.
On the ORK kits today.
What do you mean every kit's an ORK kit?
Oh, really?
Yeah, really? All right. Wow! Welcome back to the Run Ones Go Fast. Old Big Mick here, and it's time for another episode for ORKTOBER. And in this one, I really stepped in it this time. We've all heard the adage a million times. Every kit is an ORK kit. It's just what we do. But are they really? Well, as you saw, them sneaky death skulls down at Mindtaker Miniatures challenged old Big Mick to put his teeth where his mouth is. Something like that. And make any kit an ORK kit. So, let's give it a go. Oh, goodness. That is right. Welcome to The Red Ones Go Fasta. This is something I've wanted to do for a very, very, very long time. For those of you that are new here, don't know the background, welcome. You have stumbled on to The Red Ones Go Fasta. It is a Warhammer 40,000 channel here on YouTube. Mostly orcs, but we do kind of cover everything. But I have been in the hobby in one way or another, except for a little bit of a break, since the mid-90s. I actually started playing in 2nd edition, and yeah, just everything about the hobby is super important to me, but most importantly is the model building. That's actually what you'll find on this channel more than anything else, is we are all about the models. There's a million channels out there about painting and about playing competitively. We want to be the main channel for the hobbying. If you want to build your models correctly, if you want to learn how to kit bash like a Big Mech, if you want to do conversions and all sorts of awesome stuff like that, this is where you should be. And I have always done kit bashing and stealing things and looting things for my ORK army. And I've always been one of those people online that has said, every kit is an ORK kit. But yeah, is it really, really true? And this is a series that I've wanted to do for a long time. And I was talking with Mindtaker Miniatures, and they actually did bet me. And so what I have here in this bag is a random new in the box Warhammer 40,000 kit that I have no idea what it was. I did not get to pick at all. There was no skullduggery or backstabbing or dirty, dirty death sculling going on here. This is a complete honkin' surprise. So let's see what kit they gave me and whether or not old Big Mech can actually orkify it into a real, legit ORK kit. Shall we? Oh! Those gets. It's a Drukhari Raider. Alright, so for those of you completely unfamiliar with Warhammer 40k or just don't know all the kits, Drukhari is what the Dark Eldar turned into. They're basically evil Eldar. Really, really cool. It was actually one of my main factions from 3rd edition through 5th edition. But I've never built one of the modern kits at all. I have no idea what they build like. This is very Jabba's sail barge looking. But yeah, so what we have here is a flying transport ship. It's hard to gauge what size this thing is. So I think what we need to do is clear off the workbench, go over there, actually pop the box open and take a look at what we're working with before we can figure out what kind of ORK kit we can turn this into. Easy answer is put some wheels on it, turn it into a truck, right? But yeah, you could get kind of wild with that. You could put some wings on it, turn it into a Dakajet. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go check it out. All right, we are over here on the workbench and we are ready to pop this thing open. So let's see what we got. This is kit 45-10. This is a current kit. This is the one that you buy, or the one that you get when you buy from Games Workshop direct. So yeah, it is the current one. So if you want to make this kit, bash, like old Big Mech, you can follow along. All right. So we got a sprue here, and of course I do a whole series on secrets of the sprue. If you want to check those out, you should definitely click the link above, where I look at the sprues and tell you about secrets of them. I've done an episode so far, as of this recording, on the old orc boys, along with the Ludas, Burnas, and Warbikers, and then the new orc beast snagas and commandos and squighog boys. and then obviously after October we'll look at sprues for other armies as well. But this is our Dark Eldar sprue. So this is the size of the hull that we are working with here. So it's actually fairly good size. In fact, this thing is easily the size of a truck, so it's going to be bigger than any of the buggies. Let's look at sprue number 2. Here is sprue number 2. Looks like we got some wing-a-ding things, but looks like just one, so that must be the tail fin. A couple little weedy Drukhari looking guys. This prow thing here is really cool. It is extra. Got a bunch of really neat spear spikes with heads on them and things. Those are cool. Very spindly though, not very orky. So it's going to take a lot to orkify this thing. We got the infamous flying base with the really crappy new ball joint style studs on it. Then what is actually a relatively decent looking decal sheet. I have not seen any of the new Drukhari kits in person. Like I said, old school Dark Eldar. I played 3rd through 5th edition Dark Eldar. Haven't seen any of them in real life since. This is cool. I'm digging these guys. This is dangerous. I'm going to end up starting another army. Then the only other thing in the box is the instructions, which we don't need. All right, initial thought was obviously truck. I mean, this is a transport. Truck is a transport. It's got a big open top, right? There's something we can do with it. Here is one of my trucks. This is the actual 40K truck, but modified into being 4-wheel drive instead of 6-wheel drive, and a sideways rotary engine thing from a Gorka Morka buggy. But anyways, it's the right dimension, and as you see here, the basic hull is more or less the exact same length. The thing I'm more worried about is the width here. The Drukhari Raider appears to be quite skinny in the middle. We do have these points here that get out kind of a bit, but yeah, it's it might be a little small. Let's check the real truck and go from there. I have built one exactly as you're supposed to out of the box, including working loading ramps, which is a giant pain in the butt, which is why nobody ever does that. But yeah, you can see here we've got the truck itself. We've got the body. I don't know, that still looks pretty good. As long as we get it up on a chassis, I think we're good. But again, the width, when you look at the width of this thing built correctly with these extra armor panels here on the back, it's quite a bit wider. So we'll definitely want to widen this thing out if we're really going to truckify it. Another option is obviously any of the speed buggies themselves. And I've got a couple of them here. So here's a Shock Jump Dragsta. You know, this thing's like really pointy, pokey looking. It's a little big to do that with. Yeah, I think it's going to be bigger than any of the buggies, because other than the Wreck-A Truck Squig buggy, this one is the biggest. Yeah, like here's the custom booster blast, and you can see it's actually tiny when you disregard the guy on it. So that is definitely going to be a thing. So yeah, I'm definitely still thinking truck. We got to figure out some way of mounting it on some wheels, because I sure don't want to use that weedy flying transport stand thing. I think I even already threw it out. Yeah, there it is. It was in the garbage can. I don't want to use this weedy thing. Orcs don't like floaty things. You know, Death Copters don't float. They beat the air into submission. So yeah, let's figure that out. I think first things first, let's clip out the main parts of the hull and just tack them together and see what we're looking like in 3 dimensions. So if you're going to be doing model kit building or converting, you definitely want to get yourself a really good pair of nippers. And I actually recommend a couple of different ones for a reason, or a couple of different sizes and styles. You'll see this particular pair has a very, very shallow angle on it and is actually quite small. This is excellent for getting into tiny little spaces on modern sprues, whereas if you have great big chunky connections like this one right here, using this chunkier version definitely helps you out with that, with the power and the ability to break through. But this will actually kind of mess up the model if the connection is wrong. So the smallest you can get to do it the better off you are. All right, first piece. Now, when you're done clipping from the sprue tree, you're going to end up with these little nubbins, even when you use the best cutters. And the best thing to do is shave them off so that you have a nice, smooth surface. Now, you're going to get to a point where there's still a little bit you can feel with your finger. Don't use your sharp knife. Use a dull blade and scrape across it with the flat side of the blade. This is definitely best done with a dull blade. Now, when you feel it, it is nice and smooth. You can also use a standing stick if that's your style, but I definitely prefer the sideways blade. All right, so here we have the beginnings of the hull being assembled. You've got a lower deck and two upper decks along with one side of the hull. Now, before you glue the other side of the hull in place, they want you to put a tail fin piece in here, and there's a couple of options. You got this one or this one. I don't really think it's gonna matter because we're about to orkify it up, but it's definitely already getting into decision times. And it looks like if you don't glue the actual like bar there with the ball on it, that you might even be able to keep it where it's movable, which would be kind of cool. All right, we have the two halves of the hull glued together, and we've kept our rudder movable. And yeah, now we have a 3D piece that we can look at to better gauge just what this thing is going to be. Now, my goal for every kit is an ORK kit is that both kits still need to be identifiable. As in, when you look at this, you should be able to go, oh, you kit bashed a Drukhari Raider, but you should also be able to go, ah, I see it's now an ORK truck, or whatever the end result is going to be. So I can't, you know, like, I could chop this up into just armor panels and completely obliterate it, but that's not the point. The point is to actually use it as something. So now that I've got it here and built, we've got our truck, and you can see this thing is weedy in comparison to the truck. It just does not have the girth whatsoever. So yeah, even if I put it on a 4x4 chassis and put some great big wheels on it and stuff, it's just not going to have the substantial look that it needs. So I think we should put this guy away and figure out what we can make this into. Now, of course, being that this thing floats, flies, something like that, our next idea is definitely going to be DACA-jet, right? This is my Burnabama. And you can see the size of the hull here is actually a pretty darn good match to a DACA-jet. So there's potential there. The problem, of course, being this thing is open top, and it's just not going to make a very convincing plane. Plus, where are you going to put the wings without, like, again, totally hacking it up? And then it hit me. There is a classic unit in Warhammer 40,000 Orkdom called the Chinook Warcopter. The Chinook Warcopter was originally in the rules and then was later made as an actual Forge World kit, which is extremely rare. And as you can see here, it's basically a bit of a Defcopter in front and a bit bigger of a Defcopter in back, connected by a hull, sort of in Chinook style real helicopter. While I am not fortunate enough to own a real Forge World Chinook, or really any Chinook for that matter, I do happen to have something very cool. This guy right here, which a lot of people misidentify as a Defcopter from before the Assault on Blackreach set launched for 5th edition, but no, this is actually Dregmuck Blitzcart. This is a Gorka Morka miniature. It is metal, and you can see it's got rearward facing propellers and then two side-by-side propellers with the mech on it. So I have been holding on to this since it originally came out. It is one of the originals of my collection. And yeah, I've always wanted to do a bigger version of this for my army. And well, the idea of there being rules and a unit out there for the Chinook and this guy in my army, I can put all these together with my Defcopters and have a whole helicopter squadron. So now we know what we're turning our Drukhari Raider into. All right, now that we've gotten our model to the point where we've got kind of the basic built and we know what we're going to build it into, it's time to gather the bits. And for that, we need our trusty bits collection. Yes, as you can see, I've even already gathered some, as I keep the larger bits kind of in this different box here. So yeah, I started gathering up things that I think would work really well on making a Chinook. And I know some of you are thinking that's not enough. Well, good thing I've got the backup bag, which is especially important because in here I happen to have more Warhammer blades, which is what I need to put 2 propellers on this thing and turn it into a Chinook. Alright, digging through our bits, we found our most important pieces, namely the 2 Warhammer blades that we'll need for the 2 engines, as well as a tailpiece there, a couple of door gunners for more DACA, and a driver with some arms that look like they will work. So yeah, I think we've got our basis. I do have this really awesome lift to drop a arm. Don't know if I'm going to use that yet or not, but it's really cool. And then yeah, I got a bunch of exhaust pipes and random metal bits. Obviously there's a lot of little parts that you'll put on, but you want to start with the big stuff first. Let's get the basic overall shape done. Now, once you've gotten all your bits together, you just start going to town like a Big Mac. And next thing you know, a Chinook is born. Now, I think this satisfies all of our requirements. It is still clearly a Drukhari Raider. However, it is also very clearly a Chinook. We've got our twin engines with the drive shaft connecting them. We've got our 2 sets of rotors. We've got our ORK gunner there on the front giving us some DACA. There is our driver. And yeah, it looks the part right next to our Warhammer. So yeah, I've still got some little greebly bits I can put on to decorate some more, but I think I am 99% of the way there. I've already got, you know, a little close combat weapon on there. Did some greeblies there in the back. Same thing on this side. I got some ORK logos and whatnot. But yeah, it looks orcish. It looks like it kind of makes sense. There's some exhaust pipes coming out of the motor area. There's a drive shaft thing connecting the front and the back. We got our rotors intermeshing just like a real Chinook helicopter. And yeah, I do believe that kit is now an ORK kit. I did the underside as well. I wanted to make sure it was as orky as possible. And yeah, definitely happy with it. Got these little side panels here. These are actually the dive flaps from the DACA kit. And then yeah, I left the little rudder there is still movable, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm pretty darn stoked with this thing. I think it looks great. And definitely looks like a Chinook. I can't wait to paint this thing up and add it to my army. It could use some super rad flames going from the front to the back like our Burnabama has. So when it comes to doing your own kit bashing like this, there's a couple of things to remember. One is to have a very healthy selection of bits. You definitely want to make sure that you've got all sorts of greeblies and things hanging around so that you've got the pieces you need to make what you want. Even if the things you're not necessarily sure what you would do with them, just keep them around. You'd never know when they'll come in useful. The other thing is to make sure you stay true to the original overall concept. Having some some artwork or a picture of the actual kit out so that you know what you're doing and can make it look like that is definitely the right idea. And like I said, I'm pretty sure we nailed it. Again, here's the original Forge World model, and here is our version. All right, that's going to do it for our first installment of Any Kit is an ORK Kit, and I hope to actually make this a regularly recurring thing. A massive thank you to Mindtaker Miniatures for sponsoring this video and providing the base kit with which we are to kit bash. If you want to help Old Big Mac out, they've actually provided a code, which is AnyKit5. I will have it written down in the description below, as well as a pinned comment. You can go to Mindtaker and get a discount on absolutely anything that they sell, which is really, really cool because they're just a small business friendly local game store. But yeah, they have super supported me and the channel for a really long time. And it's fun to be able to actually do something together like this. So yeah, really big thanks to Mindtaker Miniatures. Again, AnyKit5 is the discount code for that. And to let them know that their investment in Old Big Mac got out there and saw some eyeballs. If you liked what you saw, I'd really appreciate any kind of feedback, like, dislike, throw some comments down. If you want to talk about it even more in depth, you can join our Discord, which is linked down in the description below. It is completely free. We do not paywall the Discord at all. So, yeah, that's going to be it for Every Kit is an Orc Kit. And, yeah, we'll see you tomorrow for another episode of ORKTOBER. Until then, walk on!